After getting back together with Gideon for the second time, I became the most well-behaved, understanding girlfriend he'd ever had, even when he got into another fight for his foster sister and ended up in the hospital. I didn't cry. I didn't lose control or break down like I used to. I simply treated his wounds quietly. He lowered his eyes and explained to me, "I didn't deliberately skip your mom's funeral. It's just that Vanessa is spoiled and hot-tempered. She provoked some thugs, and I couldn't just ignore it." I responded with a flat mem. But my composure and obedience didn't make Gideon as happy as he had imagined. Instead, he tightened his grip on my hand and demanded, "Why aren't you angry anymore?" Chapter 1. Gideon moved too suddenly. The iodine and cotton swabs in my hand fell to the floor. I gently pulled free from his grip. I pretended not to notice the suspicious red marks on his neck. Sensing my gaze, he awkwardly turned his head away and cleared his throat. I got scratched during the fight. Don't get the wrong idea. After a pause, he seemed to be trying to catch any crack in my expression. He continued explaining, "Vanessa left home to study elsewhere for 4 years. She's got some resentment built up. When she drank, she ended up provoking people. Technically, I'm her brother. I'm listed as her emergency contact in a crisis." The phone automatically dialed my number. Gideon rubbed his brow, looking exhausted. The situation got out of hand. We were even held at the police station for a few days. My phone died, too. "Teresa, I didn't mean to ignore your calls. Don't worry, she's already engaged to her blind date partner. From now on, I won't interfere in her affairs anymore." Gideon spoke a lot in one breath. His tone grew more and more anxious, as if he were desperate to prove something, but seeing that I was only silently picking up the iodine, as though I hadn't really been listening, he finally couldn't hold back. "I'm injured. Why didn't you say a single word? Teresa, you used to care about me the most, didn't you?" I threw the used cotton swab into the trash. My voice was calm. "Aren't you fine right now? Back then, for her, you almost ended up crippled. Didn't you also tell me not to worry?" It was as if he'd been stabbed. His voice turned hoarse. "Are you still blaming me? I'm sorry. I missed seeing your mom one last time." He lowered his head and tugged at the corner of my clothes, using the same conciliatory tone he always used in the past. "Can you take me to visit Auntie? I want to bring flowers and talk to her for a while. Then I'll go to the temple to offer her lotus lamps, and stay in the mountains for 2 days to pray for her, okay?" "No need." Gideon suddenly looked up, his eyes full of confusion and panic. "Why? I know you believe in this. I missed Auntie's funeral. This is the best way I can think of to express my apology. And more importantly, I want to tell her in person to put her mind at ease. To entrust you to me. I'll take good care of you." I pulled my hand away, my voice steady. "You never believed in that stuff. You even said I was superstitious and backward. Have you forgotten?" It seemed he remembered the things he used to say to me. He pressed his lips together, but I didn't care. I spoke softly before he could say anything else. "Gideon, I came today just to ask you something. Can you give me back the jade pendant my mother gave you?" His breathing stalled, as if an invisible hand had gripped his throat. All the color drained from his face. "Teresa, what did you just say?" Chapter 2. The jade plaque was something my mom had specially gone to Heaven Reach Peak to pray for during my junior year of college. She prayed that Gideon and I would be able to hold hands and walk all the way through life together. That wish was made with such solemnity because the path of love between Gideon and me had never been easy. I transferred schools in my second year of high school and ended up sharing a desk with Gideon. He was the campus heartthrob, good-looking, academically strong, sweet-tongued, and popular with everyone. Every day, I saw him receive countless love letters, yet someone so adored by everyone chose to like me. He pursued me for a whole year. One time, when I was cornered and harassed again by some vocational school punks, he stepped in to save me and nearly beat them half to death. When I saw blood on his hands, I cried uncontrollably. Gideon wiped his face and leaned close to me. "Don't worry, it's not mine." After that, he walked me home every night after evening self-study. He introduced me to all his friends. If anyone dared say I didn't have a dad, he grabbed them by the collar and dragged them in front of me to apologize. That day on the road, someone on an electric scooter nearly ran into me. He pulled me into his arms, and the faint scent of mint on the boy's body rushed over me. Under the streetlights, our shadows stretched long, and so, we secretly got together. Gideon was clingy. We'd hold hands under the desk, smile at each other beneath our school uniforms. A boy's affection was simple and straightforward, like he wanted to place the best of everything right into my hands. So much so that I thought I was his only one, until Vanessa appeared. She was the daughter of Gideon's father's comrade-in-arms and had been entrusted to his family before her father passed away. After Gideon and I got together, she constantly tried to assert her presence, crying, making scenes, even threatening self-harm. People always say a sudden romance can't beat a childhood bond. So after graduation, I didn't go to the university Gideon and I had agreed on. Instead, I broke up with him. Later, he dropped out, repeated a year, and got into the same university as me. He pursued me again, telling me Vanessa had gone to another city and that he only saw her as a sister. I softened, unable to let go of the past, and got back together with him in my sophomore year. For years after that, Vanessa really didn't appear again. We were even already planning our wedding. But not long ago, she came back. She was causing trouble every single day, and every mess had to be cleaned up by Gideon. At first, I understood, because Gideon told me that after she left home, she developed depression and had attempted suicide many times. And Vanessa even sought me out personally, sobbing in remorse, saying she shouldn't have been so willful and torn us apart back then. She said she hadn't been able to distinguish whether her feelings for Gideon were those of a sister or romantic love. Now she understood, and she was following his family's arrangements, going on blind dates. She told me to rest assured that she would never interfere with us again. Time had passed, and I was genuinely moved. At the beginning, Gideon would proactively keep me informed, helping her find a place and move, helping her deal with problems at work. But later, it went too far. More than once, Gideon ended up hospitalized from injuries, and it was always me taking care of him. I'd argue with him while worrying about him, and he would always say that Vanessa had no family left, that we should be more accommodating. Sometimes, in the middle of the night while Gideon and I were being intimate, a single phone call from Vanessa would make him leave immediately. Sometimes, he wouldn't come back the entire night. During that period, my mom also happened to fall ill and be hospitalized. I was running back and forth between work and the hospital, completely overwhelmed, with no energy to pay attention to anything else. It wasn't until I saw a post from one of Gideon's friends that I belatedly realized their relationship had already crossed the line of mere brother and sister. In the video, it seemed Vanessa had lost a game. She had to kiss a man as punishment. She went straight to Gideon and leaned in to kiss him, but Gideon suddenly shoved her away and snatched the phone from the person filming. I forwarded the video to him and said we needed to talk. That same day, I happened to pass by our marital home and decided to stop by to pick up some clothes. But the moment I pushed the door open, I froze. The home I had personally decorated looked like another woman had moved in. The photo wall of Gideon and me in the living room was gone. The sofa was piled with various clothes. All the succulents on the balcony had been thrown out, replaced by live stream stands and lighting equipment. I walked into the master bedroom, thankfully. It was still the same. I had just begun to relax slightly when, the moment I opened the wardrobe, I felt like I'd fallen into an ice abyss. Every single piece of my clothing had been cut to shreds. Staring at the chaotic mess filling the wardrobe, I trembled all over with rage. Chapter 3. It seemed that the moment he received my message, he rushed over in a panic. Gideon was now panting for breath. The initial anger had apparently been worn away on the way here, leaving only an anxious urgency to placate me. He half-crouched in front of me, took my hand, and softened his tone deliberately. Listen to my explanation. That day, Vanessa didn't actually kiss me. I already disciplined her privately. And also, she's changed apartments so many times, and none of them worked out. She has severe sleep disorders and can't tolerate even the slightest noise. I really had no other choice, so I let her stay here temporarily. Don't worry, she didn't sleep in our room. So should I be grateful for my own understanding and generosity? I pulled my hand away. Gideon, this is our marital home. I haven't even lived here myself. Why should an outsider be allowed to live here? She didn't just move in, she threw away my things and ruined my clothes. She's sick. Gideon's voice took on an edge of impatience as he tried to grab my hand again. When she has an episode, she can't even control herself. Teresa, you'll be her sister-in-law in the future. Can't you be a little more accommodating? Haven't I already accommodated enough? Looking at his face, I suddenly felt like I didn't recognize him anymore. Gideon, you're always telling me that Vanessa's father had a great relationship with your dad back then, that he even saved his life, that you owe her and have to treat her well. But that's your business. Why should I be dragged into it? Why do I have to be the one to give way? Gideon froze for a moment, then let out a mocking, cold laugh. Teresa, I really didn't expect you to be this cold-hearted. It felt like a knife had been driven straight into my chest. Gideon glanced around the room and gave a bitter smile. Teresa, we'll have plenty of time together in the future. But if something happens to her because I didn't take good enough care of her, if she commits suicide again, I'll never be able to forgive myself for the rest of my life. The same old argument again. Back in high school, Vanessa loved using extreme behavior to prove that everyone cared about her. So many years after graduation, and she was still playing the same game. The key was that Gideon always believed it. The mental strain of this period had reached its breaking point. I looked at him, exhausted. If that's the case, Gideon, let's break up. Can you stop being so unreasonable? He sprang to his feet. Why do you always have to argue with someone who's sick? I'm being unreasonable? I looked up at him and spoke each word clearly. You carry your guilt toward her. That's your issue. Why should I be forced to shoulder it with you? If one day she really does kill herself, you'll blame me, won't you? You'll think it was because I wasn't generous enough, not tolerant enough, that I drove her to death. Isn't that right? I didn't want to assume the worst of people, but Vanessa was indeed a ticking time bomb standing between us. One day, it was bound to explode. Gideon, flustered and irritated, finally relented as if to end the argument. Fine, I'll have her move out right now, okay? With that, he pulled out his phone and walked outside while dialing. But not long after he left, I received a critical condition notice from the hospital. Chapter 4. I waited outside the operating room all night. My eyes were badly swollen. By the next morning, my uncle had rushed back. He patted my head gently. Teresa, don't be afraid. Your uncle is here. All my composure collapsed in that instant. I clung to him and cried until I could barely breathe. I didn't know how long I cried before the operating room lights finally went out. My mom was wheeled back. The doctor looked grave. For now, we can only keep things under control like this. You can consider whether to continue with conservative treatment or proceed with more chemotherapy. After my mom woke up, my uncle suggested that we all go with him to the southern hemisphere. The air there was better. Surgery would be too taxing on her body if we chose conservative treatment. She could still live for a long time. My mom didn't want to leave. She wanted to stay here with my dad. If I die somewhere else, your dad's grave will have no one to keep him company. How lonely would that be? But she couldn't argue her way past my uncle, and we began handling the visa procedures. I went to the company to hand over my work. On the way, I received a message from Gideon. He said he had restored the house to how it was before. He also had Vanessa record an apology video for me. Completely uninterested, I deleted the message. When I arrived at the hospital, I saw Gideon pushing my mom outside to get some sun. I didn't know what he said, but he had her laughing happily. I wasn't particularly friendly toward him, but he didn't mind. He poured tea, fetched water, took on every chore, even stayed overnight, taking excellent care of my mom. In the ward, everyone was praising my mom for having such a good son-in-law. Gideon kept looking at me cautiously, as if waiting for me to accept him again. After all, in his mind, he hadn't betrayed me. Even my mom asked what had happened between us, afraid she'd worry about me. I said it was just that Gideon had upset me and I didn't want to talk to him. Perhaps thinking of my dad, she said, "It's hard to meet someone you truly like in this lifetime. No one is perfect. When you live together, you can't just focus on his flaws, think about his strengths too. You're about to get married anyway. As long as misunderstandings are cleared up, it'll be fine." After she finished speaking, Gideon came in from outside, carrying freshly made soup. After serving my mom a bowl, he sat beside me and pitifully held out his hand. There were blisters from being scalded. I've always been someone who responds to softness, not force. People aren't machines, you can't just extract love and hate in an instant. Especially not after so many years together. From school until now, thinking of everything he had done lately, my heart began to soften, but very quickly. He poured a bucket of cold water over it. I went to a farewell gathering my colleagues organized for me. When I came out of the restroom, I saw Gideon at the corner of the hallway. The Gideon who had said he was going home to have dinner with his parents. He was holding a crying Vanessa, his tone both indulgent and domineering. So tough in front of me, but when you run into some creepy guy, all you can do is cry? So stupid. What are you afraid of? Even if you can't get married, your brother will support you for the rest of your life. I stood there, frozen. At first, my chest felt numb. Then, a dull, delayed pain spread little by little, heavy and suffocating. The moment he finished speaking, he looked up and met my eyes. Vanessa seemed startled when she saw me. She quickly pulled out of his arms, wiped her tears, and ran off. A flicker of panic crossed Gideon's face. He hurried over, trying to grab my hand. Teresa, listen to me. She was just. I stepped back, avoiding his touch. Gideon, let's leave it at this. Before I left, I sent him a message, asking him to transfer me half of the house payment at market price. The house, I didn't want it anymore. Chapter 5. Gideon transferred the money very quickly. After that, I blocked him completely. He refused to give up, sending messages along with the transfers. I ignored all of them, until my mom's condition suddenly worsened. She fell into a coma. I was terrified and didn't leave her side for even a moment. That day in the hospital corridor, I overheard a patient's family member saying that they had gone to pray at a temple and made a vow. His father's illness had suddenly improved, and they were already arranging for discharge. Like a dying person clutching at a lifeline, when people are utterly powerless, they're easily drawn to mysticism. So I wore the jade pendant my mom had prayed for and went to the temple. Those who worship the Buddha must be sincere. I knelt and bowed step by step, praying for my mom's well-being. I also drew a fortune stick. The result was neither good nor bad. After pondering for a while, the master told me I could try Chongshi, using a joyful event to counter misfortune, but then added that my destined partner had not yet arrived, and everything might still be in vain. I clenched the fortune slip tightly, and tears streamed down instantly. Is there really no other way? Your destined bond has yet to come, he said slowly. But a karmic entanglement is right before you. The two oppose each other, and there may be a slim chance of survival. As if by coincidence, I looked up and saw Gideon. He was accompanying Vanessa, here to burn incense. In the past, when I'd begged him to come with me, he scolded me for being superstitious. Now, he bowed more devoutly than anyone. I didn't know what they talked about, but Gideon suddenly laughed. Then he reached out and rubbed her head. Meanwhile, I was clutching the fortune slip, my steps unsteady. I missed my footing and twisted my ankle. A sharp, piercing pain shot through me instantly. I thought of my mom's condition. I thought of all the critical condition notices I had signed during this period. All the fear, grievance, and forced strength I'd been suppressing for days completely collapsed at that moment. I had already lost my father. Why was heaven so cruel? Why did it have to take my mom too? The pent-up emotions exploded, ignoring the stares of others. I covered my face and cried my heart out. It was as if Gideon sensed something. He looked around. Then he saw me. He ran over and pulled me tightly into his arms, soothing my breathing. What's wrong? He lowered his gaze and saw that I was holding the same jade pendant as his. His eyes shifted slightly. Teresa, I knew you couldn't let me go. Stubborn on the outside, soft on the inside, that's you. You've been secretly crying a lot lately, haven't you? He was convinced that, just like the first time we broke up, I wouldn't be able to move on after the heartbreak. Compared to him, so composed, so at ease, without any sign of devastating pain, he offered me what he thought was a step down. I really only see Vanessa as a sister. If I truly liked her, we would have been together long ago. Teresa, Let's be good from now on. No more fighting, okay? Thinking of the master's words about that slim chance of survival, I could only treat a dead horse as if it were still alive, so I grabbed Gideon by the collar. My eyes blurred with tears. All right, let's get married. Chapter 6. Everything seemed to have been put on fast forward. Originally, we had planned to start preparing for the wedding after my mom got better, but I couldn't wait anymore. I contacted a wedding planning company for a proposal and, in a rush, dragged Gideon along to take our wedding photos. Strangely enough, the very day we finished the shoot, my mom actually woke up. I showed her the photos. She gripped my hand tightly, her eyes red with emotion. Gideon, as if trying to prove himself, ran back and forth around the hospital, and day by day, my mom's condition improved. The cancer cells didn't metastasize either. It was almost as if mysticism really did work. I suddenly figured out how to use Gideon. I had him show up in front of my mom more often and put him to work. Compared to my mom's health, love, hatred, none of it mattered anymore. So when I accidentally discovered that he had transferred money to Vanessa, I pretended I hadn't seen anything. I put the phone back where it was. I even thoughtfully asked him whether he needed any help. Gideon was pleasantly surprised and hugged me. You're finally not angry with her anymore? I lowered my lashes. Yeah, he explained that Vanessa had just gone on a blind date with someone new, a high school classmate of hers. The guy had secretly liked her back then. They were already preparing to get engaged. So soon? I asked casually. Gideon tightened his grip on my hand. Yes, seeing us preparing for our wedding, she thought she might as well get married at the same time. Teresa, you don't mind, do you? I shook my head. I don't mind. After all, it was just a formality. It wasn't like they were actually registering the marriage. And I wasn't the one paying the wedding planner anyway. Who he wanted to invite to hold it together with us was his business. I even briefly considered asking him whether we could gather 9 couples in total. 9 returning to 1, it would be extremely auspicious. But after thinking about it, I let it go. I'm someone who really hates trouble. Once all my energy was focused on my mom, I had no capacity left to care about anything else. So every time Vanessa called Gideon away, I didn't stop him, didn't get angry, and even reminded him to be careful on the road. That day, my uncle said the paperwork was done and it was time to book the plane tickets. My mom suddenly seemed to remember something and asked me, "Aren't you getting married to Gideon? If we leave, what will he do?" Chapter 7. I didn't dare tell my mom that I was only using him for Chongshi, to counter misfortune with a joyful event. I'd never intended to actually marry him, so I casually made up an excuse and brushed it off. What I didn't expect was that Gideon overheard it. He looked at me with a grave expression. "Where are you going?" I pulled him outside, trying to be vague. I said, "Oh, we're just discussing discharge. After deciding against chemotherapy, it would be enough to take specific medications. There was no need to stay in the hospital all the time. The atmosphere was oppressive and not good for recovery." Gideon visibly relaxed. I thought. He didn't finish the sentence. Instead, he took my hand. "The wedding is in a month. Teresa, I'm finally going to marry you." Before I could say anything, the wedding planner called. "Ms. Teresa, here's the situation. The wedding dress you selected, Miss Vanessa really likes it. Despite our objections, she wore it and took photos with her boyfriend. She said she plans to wear the same dress on the ceremony day as well. What would you like us to do?" "Oh, if she likes it, let her wear it. It's fine." "All right, thank you for your understanding. You're really too kind." But after I hung up, Gideon suddenly gripped my hand tightly, his expression darkening. "Why did you give it to her?" "Teresa, that dress was custom made for us." I was a bit baffled. "It's just a wedding dress. It's not that big of a deal. Besides, she's your sister. Isn't it only right to give way to her? She has depression too. What if she can't handle it and tries to kill herself again?" Gideon froze for a moment. Then he suddenly pulled me into a tight embrace, as if trying to fuse me into his body. "Teresa, what's wrong with you?" "Nothing," I replied calmly. He choked slightly, as if in pain. "I just feel like lately, you don't seem to love me anymore." I stayed silent. He cupped my face. Let's register the marriage, okay? What? He wasn't even my destined partner. How could we go register the marriage? Come on, think. I clenched my fingers and forced a smile. We need to have someone check whether the date is an auspicious one first. Being someone who believes in mysticism is really exhausting. He kept staring at me, as if trying to detect even the slightest trace of dissatisfaction, and I just kept smiling gently. In the end, he let out a sigh. I'll talk to Vanessa about the wedding dress. Teresa, don't worry. What's yours is yours. No one can take it away. I didn't know whether he meant the dress or himself, but at this point, I no longer cared. Chapter 8. I decided it was better to be honest with my mom. She took out the gold bangle Gideon had bought her. That kid works hard and never complains. He's actually pretty good. I handed her a glass of water. The master said Gideon and I are fated to be incompatible. I said calmly that our destinies clash. My mom's hand trembled. Huh? I continued. He also said that if we really get married, he'll bring misfortune to his wife, cheat in the marriage, and might even block my financial luck. My mom immediately shoved the bangle into my hands. Then you'd better return it to him. Losing money is one thing, she added seriously, but bringing misfortune to your wife, that's terrifying. As if she suddenly remembered something, she asked, the jade pendant I had prayed for the two of you back then, can you get it back? Of course it had to be retrieved. We were about to leave anyway. It wasn't appropriate for him to keep my things, especially something that symbolized marital fate. So I called him. No one answered. My uncle had already booked the plane tickets. I told them to leave first and that I'd join them after I finished handling things. My mom said she couldn't bear to leave my dad behind, so we drove to the cemetery to say goodbye. That day, a fine drizzle fell. My mom held a black umbrella and talked softly to him for the entire morning. Meanwhile, I called Gideon countless times and sent message after message. None were answered. I'd originally planned to tell him that I was leaving. Now it seemed unnecessary, so I informed the wedding planning company that I was withdrawing from the ceremony. They could focus on arranging it for Vanessa instead. Then I bought a plane ticket for 3 days later. I used those days to settle everything that needed to be handled. But on the very day I was about to leave, I received a message from Gideon, telling me to go to the hospital to find him. In fact, he didn't need to explain anything. I had already seen it on social media. The scene was chaotic, yet he never once let go of Vanessa's hand. That was when I finally realized I was probably nothing more than a prop in the game between the two of them. I hadn't planned to go, but then I remembered that he still hadn't returned my mom's jade pendant to me, so I had to go get it back. Chapter 9. The air inside the car was heavy. Gideon kept sneaking glances at me. I pretended to be absorbed in the scenery outside the window. Earlier, I had tried calling him, asking him to come with me to the cemetery. He thought it was my mom's funeral. What terrible luck. Why do you want the jade pendant? Gideon finally couldn't hold it in anymore, afraid he wouldn't give it back. I told a lie, to have it repolished. Only then did his expression ease a little. He curled his lips into a faint smile. I couldn't bear to wear it. I put it in the safe in the master bedroom of the new house. The password is the date we first got together. I thought hard about it. It was too long ago. I really couldn't remember. What's the date again? Teresa, you seriously don't remember? He slammed on the brakes, disbelief written all over his face. That day was so important. How could you forget? I stayed silent. Just then, the light turned green. He held the steering wheel with one hand and mine with the other, letting out a helpless sigh. It's April 21st. Oh, when we reached the door, Gideon said he'd prepared a surprise for me. I frowned instinctively. I hated anything that wasn't part of the plan. The moment the door opened, a party popper exploded over my head with a loud bang. Marry him! Marry him! Amid the cheers, Gideon dropped to one knee, holding up a diamond ring. Teresa. His voice was gentle and affectionate. I owe you a proper proposal. Let me make it up to you today. Will you marry me? I stood there, neither reaching out nor speaking. At that moment, Vanessa stepped out from the back of the crowd, her eyes red. Wishing you eternal unity and a lifetime of happiness. Gideon looked at her, as if trying to prove something, his tone urging. Come on, call her sister-in-law properly. Vanessa's lips moved a few times, but that word, sister-in-law, never came out. Then she suddenly clutched her stomach, her face turning pale. I don't feel very well. I'll leave first. After the crowd dispersed, Gideon and I sat together on the sofa. She's just childish. Don't be mad at her, I replied with a casual hum. He suggested again. Let's find a time to have both families eat together. He didn't know that I'd already canceled the wedding. What dinner was there left to have? Just as Gideon was about to say more, his phone rang. His expression changed instantly. What? A car accident? Okay, I'm coming right now. He hung up, grabbed his coat in a rush, then seemed to remember me and turned back to explain. Vanessa was in a car accident. My parents are already there. As family, I have to go take a look. Okay, I said, very understanding. Instead, he frowned, hesitating. Do you want to come with me? I guess she probably doesn't want to see me. Don't talk nonsense. He sighed, walked back, and pressed a kiss to my forehead. Be good and wait for me at home. This time, I didn't respond. The screen lit up. It was a message from my uncle. Have you left yet? I lowered my head and replied, almost. I'll arrive tomorrow morning. There was still some time before the flight. I first opened the safe and took out the jade pendant. Then, calmly, I contacted a moving company and had my belongings packed and shipped out. After that, I smashed the marital home to pieces. After all, I had renovated it myself. It only made sense to restore it to how it was originally. Finally, I hailed a taxi. Without looking back, I boarded the plane. Chapter 10. By the time Gideon left the hospital, it was already past midnight. For the last time, he said to Vanessa, life only comes once. You're already 25. You can't keep joking about suicide. I've fulfilled all the responsibility I owe you. Vanessa, you'll have your own life, and I'll marry Teresa and build our own family. From now on, don't call me anymore. Right in front of her, he deleted all her contact information. Vanessa lay on the hospital bed and casually grabbed a cup from the table, hurling it at him. Gideon didn't dodge. The cup hit him with a dull thud before shattering across the floor. But I don't want you to get married. I don't want you marrying someone else. Why can't you marry me? We grew up together. Gideon, how can you do this to me? Because I don't love you. Vanessa froze for a split second, then laughed until tears streamed down her face. Then why did you stand on my side again and again? Why was I always placed before Teresa? Gideon frowned instinctively. Had he really done that? He suddenly thought of how obedient Teresa had been lately, and a wave of inexplicable panic surged up. That's because your father saved my father's life, he said slowly. Vanessa, our family took you in. Your household registration is tied to mine. We can only ever be brother and sister. Do you understand? My kindness to you is nothing more than repaying that debt. I've protected you for so many years. That's enough. Teresa is the one I want to spend my life with. With that, he turned around and left, ignoring Vanessa's crying and screaming. From now on, he didn't want to deal with it anymore. All he wanted was to see Teresa. But when he called her again and again, no one answered. The messages he sent went unanswered as well. The unease in his chest intensified. He drove back as fast as he could. Standing at the door, his chest felt tight and chaotic. Only then did he realize his palms were drenched in sweat. The fingerprint lock failed several times before he finally got in by entering the password. The moment he stepped inside, Gideon froze. The room was a complete mess, like the aftermath of a disaster. The jade pendant was gone. Every single one of Teresa's belongings was gone. No matter how badly they'd fought before, she had never done anything like this. When he realized that she had chosen such a decisive way to draw a clear line between them, Gideon felt no anger at the wrecked house at all, only a heartache, as if he had lost something irretrievable. Teresa was ruthless. How could she be so ruthless? Wasn't there a pattern all along? She had been planning to leave for a long time. He had sensed it, hadn't he? He had just ignored it. That obedience, it had all been an act. How could someone who loved you not feel jealous? How could they suddenly become so magnanimous? There was only one possibility. She didn't love him anymore. But then why lie to him and say she wanted to get married? He had been overjoyed, carefully preparing the wedding, controlling every detail, wanting to give her a grand ceremony, to make her his bride, his wife, the person he'd spend the rest of his life with. Gideon collapsed into the ruins and called the wedding planning company. They told him that Teresa had canceled the wedding on the very day he went to find Vanessa. MS. Teresa said that you'd already broken up. They said. And that Vanessa was the most important person to you. She told us to focus on preparing hers. Mr. Gideon, didn't you know? He hung up the phone, tears spilling out. Yeah, in the whole world. He was the only one who didn't know. Even the breakup. He found out from someone else. How much did Teresa have to hate him? To leave like this without even a single word? He hugged himself tightly and cried until his sobs were hoarse. From night until dawn, Teresa's phone remained unreachable. He felt like he finally understood how it used to feel for her, waiting for his replies. So this was what it felt like. So painful, trembling. He stood up and drove to Teresa's place. No one answered the door. A neighbor returning from grocery shopping saw him standing there blankly and kindly said, "You're Teresa's boyfriend, right?" Teresa's mom went abroad to recover with her uncle. Teresa even came back a few days ago and gave all the things she didn't need to my family. What, didn't you know? Every sentence struck him like a blow. Teresa's mother hadn't died, so he hadn't missed any so-called funeral at all. Then why had Teresa still treated him like this? At that thought, he suddenly remembered. He still had Teresa's mother's contact information. He sent her a message. A red exclamation mark appeared immediately. Then he called. It rang for a long time. Just as despair was about to completely swallow him, the call connected. Chapter 11. The moment the call connected, Teresa's mom hung up immediately, because she had spotted Teresa just walking out of the airport. She waved at her. Over here. The instant I saw my mom and uncle, all my exhaustion vanished. I jogged over and scolded her softly. Your body hasn't fully recovered. You shouldn't have come. My mom smiled. It's fine. I've been getting some sun these past few days and feel really energetic. That city of ours is gloomy all the time. The air here is good, really. You'll like it too. I looked her over carefully. Her complexion really was much better. On the drive, my uncle was behind the wheel, and my mom chatted nonstop. You have no idea, your little niece is just over 2 years old and unbelievably cute. I used to see her every day on video calls, and now I finally got to hold her. She even called me grandaunt. My heart just melted. Then she suddenly paused, looked at me, and said, "That Gideon boy called me earlier." My hand slipped and I accidentally answered. Then I hung up right away. I blocked him immediately. Can't let him bring bad luck to you. Oh, right, did you get the jade pendant back? I took it out of my bag and handed it to her. I did. Good, good. My mom let out a sigh of relief. I just don't know if there are any masters here. Another day. I'll have someone recalculate when your true destined partner will arrive. As she spoke, she actually pulled out her phone and started searching. The warmth of being reunited with family quickly dispelled the discomfort of being in a foreign place. I began planning for the future. I had always liked a university here, so I started preparing applications for graduate school. One day, while looking up information online, I suddenly saw a missing person post. Looking for me. The post was trending, and because Gideon was good looking, it drew a lot of attention. People praised him for being deeply devoted, saying his first love had fled the wedding. Yet he still refused to give up searching for her. Netizens eagerly offered suggestions. Some even said they were in the same country as me and would help keep an eye out. My fingers paused. I was irritated by this self-righteous display of deep affection. Just as I was about to comment and tell him to stop disturbing other people's lives, someone, following the clues he'd posted, dug up my account. What a coincidence. Back then, because of Gideon and Vanessa, I often suffered from insomnia. I didn't want to spread negativity to my friends, so I recorded my heartbreak moments on a private alt account. At the same time, people I'd known in high school and college started speaking up for me. Who are you pretending for? Everyone knows you've got a so-called childhood sweetheart, your sister in name only. That woman was a complete psycho. She used to cry and make scenes in front of our class all the time. Back in high school, that beautiful girl broke up with you. What? You stalked her until she gave in again? Good thing she ran away from the wedding. I applaud her. Have some shame and delete the post. It's disgusting. I'm so angry. The poor girl's mom was seriously ill. She was already suffering enough. And she still had to put up with you constantly running off to your drama queen foster sister. Just let her go and stay locked together with that sister of yours. Once people started digging, more and more came out. Vanessa, naturally, was dragged into the spotlight too. And then everyone discovered she never had depression at all, because she had done live streaming before, and on her social accounts, she'd exposed it herself. It was just a persona meant to attract sympathy. Sometimes, you really have to admire the internet's power and its sharp tongues. This is a once-in-a-lifetime pure-grade lunatic even gold prospectors couldn't dig up. Using depression as a cover to toy with people like fools, impressive. Seriously. Can someone speak up for people who actually suffer from depression? I'm furious. I want to slap the guy once, and slap his so-called sister 999 times. Things blew up. Gideon quietly deleted the post. But it didn't end there. Poor girl. Don't worry. Stay where you are. No one's going to expose your location. Latest update, a bunch of people went to the guy's apartment complex and even caused trouble at his parents' workplace. Completely humiliating. The guy got beaten by his parents and ended up in the hospital. Then tried to cut his wrists. He was saved. Frontline report, the sister had her adoption revoked. Hope the poor girl is doing well, living a new life, and no longer bothered by trash men and trash women. I smiled. I'm doing very well. I have the courage to shatter myself, and to rebuild who I am from the ruins. The entanglements and regrets of the past are like ripples on a lake stirred by the wind. In time, they, too, will fade into stillness. Chapter 12. I began my new life, staying by my mom's side. I returned to campus and went back to school. My days were calm and fulfilling. My mom recovered very well. When she first came out, she couldn't even communicate because of the language barrier. Now she can bargain fluently with shopkeepers. On weekends, we often drove to nearby cities, experiencing different ways of living, different lives. My mom has always been talkative. Every place we went, she'd chat with all kinds of people. It felt like she was finally living out the dream she once had in her youth, to carry a sword and roam the world. When she mentioned that she had beaten cancer, people applauded her. You're incredible, she would smile and say. In this world, other than life and death, everything else is a small matter. The Bodhisattva will protect me. Like her, I believe in fate. In that moment, I suddenly remembered what the master had said at the temple years ago. Perhaps Gideon's purpose in my life was simply to shield us from disaster. All that love and hurt had become distant memories. I had let go. So my uncle wanted to set me up on a date. The guy next door is really good. Same age as you. Even from the same school. I often see him sneaking glances at you. Most importantly, he's Chinese too. You'd have plenty to talk about. I waved my hand and laughed. No need. When fate arrives, it will come on its own. Chapter 13. In the 4th year, my mom started missing my dad. She wanted to visit the cemetery and talk to him for a while. So our whole family decided to come back for a visit. My little niece was almost 6 by then, just in time for a school break. We brought her along to experience the culture of our home country. After all, no matter how good life abroad is, it's never truly home. Over the years, I'd also heard bits and pieces about Gideon and Vanessa from friends. Public opinion spread quickly. Gideon's workplace was flooded by online backlash, and the company fired him. They even said they reserved the right to pursue legal responsibility, because during work hours, he was frequently late, absent, or left early. Vanessa was already mentally unstable when her fiancé found out she was still entangled with her adoptive brother. Essentially mutual emotional cheating. He called off the engagement immediately and stayed far away. Then people dug up her past incidents of bullying classmates in high school. For a time, she was condemned by everyone. She had no income to begin with. And Gideon's parents also cut ties with her. She didn't live well at all. She clung to Gideon every single day. Gideon grew to hate her deception and manipulation, exhausted beyond measure. In the end, the two of them turned on each other, a complete mess. I thought the story had ended there, but one day, Vanessa went mad again. She drove her car straight into Gideon, saying she wanted them to die together. I had said it long ago. She was a ticking time bomb, obsessive and stubborn. If she couldn't have something, she'd rather destroy it. Thankfully, I had cut ties with that pair of lunatics early on. What was unfortunate was that Gideon didn't lose his life. Instead, he lost a leg. Vanessa was eventually sentenced for intentional assault, going to prison to work the sewing machine. Gideon had long since lost the confidence and radiance he once had as the campus heartthrob. Perhaps this was the price of a change of heart. Chapter 14. After accompanying my dad at the cemetery and talking to him for a while, we came back. My mom took my little niece out to play. When my close friends found out I was back, they invited me to a gathering. By the time it ended, it was already late. Just as I got out of the car, I saw Gideon leaning against a big tree at the entrance of the residential complex, staring at me intensely. He limped toward me, his eyes reddened instantly, his voice trembling beyond control. "Teresa, you're finally back." It had only been a few years, yet he had changed so much. Once handsome and dashing, now haggard and worn. If he hadn't spoken, I might not have recognized him at all. "Do you have any idea how long I've been looking for you? You were so cruel, you never even told me which country you went to. For 4 whole years, whenever I had time, I came to wait downstairs at your place, thinking that one day, you'd surely show up." That was true. We were all just ordinary people. If someone deliberately hid themselves, the world was vast, personal information wasn't so easy to find. I've completely fallen out with Vanessa. She'll never bother us again. Our marital home, I renovated it all over again according to your preferences. That custom wedding dress, I've kept it hanging in the master bedroom. I only recognize you as my wife, Teresa. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I regret it. I shouldn't have gone to deal with her that time. These past years, whenever I woke up in the middle of the night, I kept thinking, I had already made one mistake back then. I didn't handle my relationship with her properly. And that's why you broke up with me. I dropped out, retook the exams, and finally managed to chase you again. During those years when she wasn't around, we were so good, we were about to get married. So why did I act like I was possessed and repeat the same mistake all over again? Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh softly. Gideon, don't dress yourself up as some deeply devoted lover. The truth is, our many years together made you lose your sense of novelty. You got bored. So when an unexpected variable appeared, it excited you. Didn't you simply enjoy the feeling of having both Vanessa and me revolving around you? You needed her dependence to magnify your own sense of importance, and you needed my tolerance to maintain your image as the perfect boyfriend. You never truly drew a clear line, because being fought over, that feeling satisfied you, didn't it? His face went deathly pale. Then he gave a bitter smile. But Teresa, I really never betrayed you. Does betrayal only count when it's physical? I replied calmly. Was your heart wandering away again and again not enough? You tortured me until I was barely alive, and then thought a light, casual apology would settle everything? He pressed his lips together, as if he had finally found a reason why I should forgive him. But back then, you couldn't wait to marry me. We took wedding photos, hired a wedding planner. You clearly loved me. We were just one step away from entering marriage. Were all of those things fake? I tugged at the corner of my lips. Gideon, that was because my mom was critically ill, and the fortune teller said we needed a joyful event to ward off disaster. It actually worked pretty well. And the master also said, you weren't my destined partner, but a karmic entanglement. Since you were a karmic bond, I figured I might as well extract your maximum value. How could you treat me like this? I looked at his pupils shrinking sharply and spoke each word clearly. You could betray me again and again in the name of repaying a favor. So why can't I use you to save my mom? What's wrong with a daughter who puts her mother first? Tears streamed down his face. His whole body trembled as he begged. Humiliated. Then you can keep using me, please, Teresa. I looked him up and down without any pretense. Gideon, look at yourself. Do you really think you're worthy of me now? I've already paid the price, he said despairingly. Shattered. I'm disabled now. Are you satisfied? Does this count as an apology? Teresa, can we at least be friends? Sorry, I said lightly. I'm not lacking friends. I walked past him. He asked one last question behind me. Can't you forgive me? I didn't turn back. I didn't stop. That was my answer. I will keep moving forward, toward new love, and new noise and color, across mountains and rivers. I'll go wherever I please, no matter which direction the stars choose to point.